Okay, hi, I'm here with Joanna Williams. She teaches sixth grade math, and she knows that this video is for my evaluation, our
Yes.
evaluation. All right, so, and we're doing a planning coaching session. And so what are your goals and objectives for the lesson? What do you want the students to walk away with?
So I want them to walk away with strong knowledge of all their properties. We're doing the commutative, associative, identity, inverse, and distributive. So I want them to come away with definitely good knowledge and know the vocabulary on that.
And what will you be doing?
So we're going to do Frayer models for the vocabulary with the word wall. Want to make sure, reading through the IFDs, I knew that the vocabulary needs to be hit. So Frayer models will definitely help them with that.
Okay, and then is there anything else that you'll be doing besides just the FAIR model?
Yes, while the students are busy doing, I'll have a group doing, most of the group will be doing the Frayer models, but then I'll have small group instruction for the babies that really, really need it. I'd like to grab those first because a lot of times they have to revisit the small group. Sometimes I let them go on their own once I feel like they're ready, and then sometimes I bring them back.
Okay, and then during the, what are you doing during small group? Are you doing
During
more on
small
the
group-
properties, or are you doing something?
So it'll, based on my last unit, my last assessment, I'll look through the TEKs that were low, and I'll go through that, try to hammer those, just clear up any misconceptions, and then if no misconceptions, if I can fly through that and still have time, then I'll go through the properties and make sure that they understand their properties too.
Okay, and then in our professional development yesterday, we all agreed as a department that open-ended assignments were weak, and so you and I had talked about starting out, were you gonna start out with that?
Yes,
with an
gonna start
open-ended?
with the shopping cart. If you're gonna come in and model for me the first period, and then I'll handle the other 5. And hopefully that opens them up to that commutative and associative property. Just kind of get their brains working.
And leads them right
Yeah,
into it.
yep.
Right, good. And then how will you know, how will you know that they are successful at what you wanted them to learn with the properties?
So I'll definitely look in their interactive notebooks, in their Frayer models, because we'll kind of fold them down and paste them, be like 3 on a page, and then they can flip up and see. So I'll check those, make sure those are good. Also, just oh God, I lost my train of thought.
Like that's,
Say the question again. Sorry.
no, that's fine. So how will you know they're successful?
So yeah, so that's one way to find out. And then also in my small group instruction, I'm just doing like maybe a callback, asking a question,
yeah.
or maybe we go in a circle and ask questions. You ask your neighbor a question, see if they can answer, and then so on, just kind of pass
Yeah,
it
so
around.
you can do that, like maybe to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Good.
so you're using it sounds like you're using your FAIR model as a formative assessment in
Yes.
their interactive notebooks. And then
For
in
sure.
the long
Breaking
term,
pencils.
in the long term, will you continue to assess?
Sure. I also like to do like checkpoints. I noticed for my last unit that it really helped bring the percentage up that passed that were satisfactory. I did like 3 checkpoints before I did that. It's like a 15-day unit. So I'm thinking that it does have to be chunked out for the 6th graders. They need just small checkpoints to make sure they're on task.
Can you explain the checkpoints?
So the checkpoints will be like after about maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days. I'll just give them a quick little 4-question, I call it like a mini quiz checkpoint, just to find out what they know. And we go over those almost immediately.
Do you include also older TEKs on that?
On the
or just
checkpoints,
the
not
near term?
always, but on the unit assessments, always. I
Okay.
do review because we are struggling at 6.4G.
Yeah, and you had mentioned though that the 6.4G, which is what?
That's the fractions, decimals, and percents.
Right.
They don't like them because
Conversions,
it deals with
equivalents?
division.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you said that the checkpoints help that, but so that one you do keep reassessing.
So I keep
on the
reassessing
checkpoints?
well, definitely on the major, I guess what I would call the unit assessments. I definitely
Okay.
do. On the small checkpoints in the units, it's just unit based. It's just right
Oh, okay.
inside that unit. But pretty much that division never goes away. So we're constantly dividing, like in every,
Right, okay.
like last unit was unit rates. So we had division. So
Okay.
that kind of brings in the 6.4G again,
Oh,
but not just specifically.
okay, I see.
So.
Okay, so you'll be doing the formative assessment of the FAIR model,
Mm-hmm.
but then also the or the properties,
Yes.
and then the properties will come back up on a checkpoint. Is that
They will.
okay?
Yes, they will.
And then, what are your hunches about how they're gonna do?
So, a little nervous about letting them go on the word wall while I'm doing small group because I
Right.
know it can get chaotic. But as we were talking, I was thinking, excuse me, that I could choose a leader that could help redirect their peers as they get too loud or they're not on task. Somebody can kind of redirect, and then I can just stay focused on my small group. Excuse me.
And then, so by having the leader, do you have one in every class?
I don't.
This?
After talking to you about it, like, it just kind of made me think, like, excuse me, maybe I could choose a leader.
Do you want me to pause it and you get water?
No.
Okay.
No, it's okay. So I was thinking, like, that we could use a leader that might help kind of take the pressure off of my brain so that I can stay
And you think
focused
there
over
is
here.
one though in every class?
Oh, yeah, I have one.
Oh, okay.
I have at least one leader in every class. Sometimes 3, but,
You,
but
well,
definitely
you
one.
think you'll just pick one?
It depends on the class size.
Okay.
For my larger classes, I'll probably choose 2 to 3.
Okay.
Like, you be in charge of this little section, and you be in charge of this little section.
So
But they're good about redirecting because they know my class expectations, and they're good. I heard
Okay.
someone telling somebody, was like, stop doing that. Told them that today.
Right.
They were, like, kicking a ball around or something, and I was like, thanks for redirecting your peer.
And the other kids don't get all like, no,
No.
you're not the boss of me. They don't.
No, because they know the expectations, and, like,
Okay.
then if I hear it and I get in it, then it's a different situation.
Right. They'd rather be
So, yeah,
friendly reminder
That's
from
right.
their peer.
Exactly.
Okay, and then anything else, your hunches on how they're gonna do with the topic?
The topic has already been introduced. Most of the properties, I believe the distributive is the new one for 6th grade. I don't have my IFD in front of me, but I'm thinking that that's the newer one. Even though they've been introduced, division was introduced in 4th grade, and we
Right.
still don't quite know that. So,
Right.
my hunch is that it is going to be a little difficult, but I'm hoping that the Frayer models, with the non-examples, what it is, what it isn't, I'm hoping that clarifies things. And maybe even some student teaching. I tried that today and it was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Having the peer, doing like, yeah.
Like
having
the
students
kids
get
get
up
to the
there
white,
and
to the
explain
smart
it.
board. Yep.
Okay, and so, I had a question, but I lost it. It might come back during the next question. So if you could videotape this lesson, what would you want to, see here in yourself when you replay the video?
I would want to make sure that I was like clear and concise with my instructions. I'd want to make sure that they're grasping the things, that I'm getting good positive feedback from the kids. Even some discourse there, because that's always good. Like today with exponents, we had a lot of discourse.
You did.
3 squared. Oh, that means 3 times 2. And oh, no, that's 3 times 3. So like
Right.
getting them to talk is always good. So I would like to see that too. Like more discourse in the classroom.
Yeah,
with
and
that.
they naturally were replying to each other today, but maybe you could,
Set them up a little bit.
yeah, maybe, but I was thinking, because you said you were gonna do a little formative assessment almost in your small group about it, maybe practice there, because
Okay.
having them, can you repeat what they said, or can you say that in a different way, replying to what the other person said? That's
Right.
not natural for me to do things like
No,
that, so
not me
starting,
either, but yeah, but in
so
a small
starting in a
group.
small group or whatever, but yeah.
I could do that for sure.
Yep, and then what else would you like to see? You said being clear and concise.
Yeah, and because the vocabulary, just like when I was reading those IFDs, it just like hit vocabulary so hard that they have to know their vocab. I mean, this is a big unit where you have to know, because if you don't know the vocab, you won't understand anything else.
Right, so
Because
that's-
actually the properties themselves are not that difficult. It's just getting the words down and understanding what each one actually means.
That is very true.
Yeah,
And
because I
then-
mean, like I was looking at, I have the identity property, of addition. Okay, you add 0 and it's just itself.
Right.
So I mean, they're basic things, but
Just remembering
you
what
just have to remember what it
identity
is.
means.
I think I told them it's like a mirror, kind of like.
All right, your identity.
Identity, your mirror,
It's
because
still
it's
just
looking
you.
back at you,
Oh,
right?
yeah, so giving them little like context, or it's almost like
visual
a
clues or
it's almost like
something?
a scaffolding using their previous knowledge of something like the mirror or something like that. But you're also going to have them go to the word wall.
Yes,
Which is
that's what they'll do. They'll go
which
to
is
the
part
word
of your
wall.
SMART goals.
Yes,
is the
yes,
word
it
walls
is.
and small groups. So
Yep.
all right, I think that's it. Anything else like that you would like to see? I know that you're apprehensive about, I think that's the right word, about small group instruction. And you and I have talked about that's both of our weaknesses, that we like to have control
Yep.
of our class. And so when we're doing small group instruction, we're worried about what the other students are doing. So
Right. And that's where I thought of the leader as we were talking through this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's where I thought of the
mentioned that
leader.
earlier.
Because I don't really have like an assigned leader other than to pass out my warm-ups. But, you know, like the kids kind of take their own. Like I said, someone redirected a kid today. They kind of take that leadership, and I can like pick out my leaders. So just talking to you, I just was like, well, maybe I do. Because it does make me nervous about like being over here and then
Right.
they're over there and the
Right.
masses are over there and it's getting crazy. But I think if I assign that,
Yeah.
give somebody take the
Okay.
ownership, I think they'll be in
You
line.
did mention that. And then you also talked about being clear and concise.
Yes.
Clear and concise about your instruction.
Instruction and the expectations that I have for the word wall. You know, set that up front before I even break out into the groups. Let them know, Joshua will be, the lead over here. He'll redirect you if you're getting off task. He'll redirect you if you have a question. So we'll see how it goes.
And you've done that before?
I've kind of put kids in charge before.
Okay.
So I know which ones I can, but like, I'm just like gonna make it like a straight practice when I'm doing small group.
Right.
That anytime I have small group, or maybe I have small group leaders or something, I don't know. Whole group leaders over there, I don't know what I call them, but I need to come up with a name. Cause like I called my warm up, the warm up boss. So I need a new name for like,
Warm-up boss?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's-
maybe like small group boss or I don't
Word
know.
wall boss?
Word wall boss, something.
Whatever. Freer boss?
Frere model, yes. The FM boss.
And so, well, let's say that they're not doing what they're supposed to, like, it's not the leader thing isn't helping. What do you think you have a plan for what you would do?
I don't know. One of my teachers, I've heard her say, it's their loss. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do in the group, I mean, honestly, like, ultimately it's their loss. But, I mean, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and correct it. But it's like,
Right.
if you spend so much time correcting, then who's missing out? My small group is missing out.
Yeah.
So, and those are the kids that I really, really need. So it's like, I'll just pick my battle on that one.
So maybe planned ignoring. They
Yes.
talk about, I think in Champs, they talk
Yeah.
about planned ignoring.
Yes, yeah.
But you balance it.
Exactly,
like,
because you can't let it get
Right.
can't be a circus, but it also just can't be like we're in boot camp,
All right.
So and ultimately it is. If you're not doing the games and the stations like you should be, ultimately at the end of the day it is your loss
Right.
because you don't get to practice,
All right.
and then then it shows on your checkpoints.
Yeah, and that's something
know.
that probably I would have to work on, and probably
big
something
time.
because our personalities are the same.
Yeah.
Like the planned ignoring, because you're like,
Right.
You're trying
turn
to
on your
focus
mommy
here.
ears. I have to turn those mommy ears so I can't hear anything.
right. Okay, so last question is: as you reflect on this conversation, like what we've talked about, how has it helped in your planning and your learning as a teacher?
So definitely just like coming up with like planned ignoring, like number one, like learning how to do that because I don't. And like I do set expectations, but just making sure that you really, really set them on those days.
Yeah,
That
very
you're-
clear about
yeah,
what they
very
need.
clear. Maybe even have it on the smart board.
Oh, yeah.
I could do a little PowerPoint or something,
That's
little
a good
quick
idea.
document to pop on there. Definitely thought about the leaders when we were talking. I think that's about it. But like just talking through it just kind of really makes you think a little more about what could happen, what might not happen, and planning for what might happen. Because you plan for the lesson, but you don't plan for like all the extras.
Right.
You plan for the hardcore facts, but you don't plan for the shenanigans. So it's planning for
Right.
shenanigans.
Even though I think that's true. I think that even though those things are happening, but by talking through it, you can really be
Yeah.
specific about, I'll probably need a leader. And you might have come up with that on the fly when you're doing it,
Right.
after you teach so much, but
After I've stopped and said,
But-
stop, you know what I mean? Like after
Right.
you've been interrupted 100 times.
or you would have come up with it second period because
Right.
after doing it first
Yes.
period. But I think by talking through it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Talking through it definitely helps. For sure.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. That's the end.
Bye, guys.